This is Charlie Mike, the podcast. Veterans helping veterans, talking about things happening in the veteran community, things we've experienced and overcome, such as addictions, PTSD, depression, legal trouble, and we also promote veteran-owned businesses. If you're talking about it, we're talking about it. This is Charlie Mike, the podcast.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Charlie Mike, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Raul. Today, I have a very special guest in the house today. Is Jeff Berry, my friend. And I am excited and I want to let Jeff introduce himself. He's a busy man and I am very appreciative that he took the time to come out and speak to us on the podcast today. Jeff wears many hats.
Yes.
And I'm going to let Jeff introduce himself for the people that don't know who he is. Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Hey, Raul, it's always a pleasure to be with you. I'm actually the owner of Bearing Insurance Group here in Pearland, Texas. Been here for 26 years. Going to be 27 here coming up soon. But I'm also the state representative for House District 29 and recently got elected to that post. And I'm looking forward to continuing the work there. We just had our first special session, and it's nice to be back. You know, I was gone for 9 months and come back and kind of get settled back in town and, you know, hang out with my wife and my friends and get out into the community and do the things I like doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. With you coming up in Pearland, what was the moment you decided, all right, I'm stepping up, I'm running for office?
Well, if you recall, our previous state representative, Ed Thompson, had been in that office for, I believe, 12 years. And it was not on our radar. I think anybody that was involved with the city or schools or anything locally, it wasn't really on our radar for Ed to step down. And when Ed stepped down, it was a shocker to a lot of people. He's always done such a great job. We love Ed. We're very thankful for his service. So there were a few people out there that kind of kicked it around a little bit and did their due diligence with their families and asked all the right questions. And finally, when those individuals decided that it wasn't going to be something for them, I stepped up, and you know that's what I've always done. When there's a void or a need in the community, I generally try to fill that void if I can. If the people will allow me to do it. I did the same thing on school board and city council and other areas of Pearland. So that's kind of how it happened. It wasn't something I sought out.
You're very active in the community. What are some of the organizations you're part of currently?
Well, I'm part of one of the organizations I'm really passionate about is the Northern Brazoria County Education Alliance. They are an organization that supports current technology. They're a 501c3 here in Pearland. I think they've been in existence since 2007. If I recall, it's been a long time. But that's one of the organizations. I'm also members of all the chambers, Pearland, Alvin, Manville, Brazosport. I'm also a member of the Association of Builders and Contractors. They support a lot of our industrial trades around Texas and the United States. Great organization, and there's others I'm a Lions Club member. I support our Lions here in Pearland, one of the largest Lions clubs in the state of Texas, and we generally donate to our Lions camp about $150,000 a year. So we're very, very proud of that, to support our kids at the Kerrville Lions camp too. So.
And for you that don't know, the Lions Club in Pearland are everywhere.
Yes.
They do so much here in the community and elsewhere. You can't go anywhere without seeing the Lions Club participating in everything that's going on here in the community. And that's tremendous.
If you don't know about Lions in Pearland, there's a men's club and a women's club. Well, there's several women's clubs in Pearland. So my wife is a Lion. I'm a Lion. So our whole household, it revolves around Lionism. and we believe in their mission. So it's a wonderful organization.
Lionism.
Yes.
Is that a real thing?
Just made that up.
It sounds good. Go with it. Go with it. That's hilarious. Since taking office, what's something that surprised you? Maybe something that, the normal people on the outside don't see.
Since going to Austin, the beautiful pink building in Austin, Texas, some of the things that people don't necessarily see are the relationships that are built in the background. Everybody has their own approach to business in doing the people's business in Austin. But as a freshman coming in, the one thing that surprised me, and looking back on it, it shouldn't have surprised me, but what really surprised me the most is that how much of the stuff that we were going to work on had really already been defined during the interim, which is why you said, "Oh, I see you everywhere." Well, I'm everywhere because I want to make sure that I see everyone, I talk to everyone, hear their concerns, because now in the interim between this session and next session when the work gets done. A lot of people have this misconception that we're only working when we're on the floor, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We're not doing work when we're on the floor. We may be having conversations and so on, but our real work gets done in our offices and our committee meetings when we're trying to negotiate different bills and things of that sort. So that was the surprising thing to me.
So when I see y'all sitting, for a session, the way I picture it is like, left, right, someone from the left shooting a spitball over there across to the right. Is it like that?
Maybe not a physical spitball, but there are spitballs, from a certain sense. We do have heated discussions. I mean, there's no question about it. Recently we had the THC bill. That was a heated discussion. Never really got solved. We had property taxes. That's not necessarily a heated discussion, but people are very, very, very passionate, as am I, about property taxes. We had some social bills that were very heated. We had some bills that addressed financial, supporting or removing support from foreign adversaries, and being able to invest our pension funds in foreign-owned entities that were our enemies. Why would we ever do that, right?
Yeah.
Why would we ever allow those entities to own property in the state of Texas? So those things were very, very, passionate and heartfelt, I would say, on the floor. So yeah, and some nights we didn't get out of there till 3 a.m. Start at 10 a.m., get out of there at 3 a.m. So, and then we started all over again the next morning.
Yeah. Is it ever like shake hands? Let's grab a beer. Is it ever
always?
Like that? Yeah,
always.
Yeah. Oh, good.
It is. And look, you and I can disagree. And,
right.
And one thing I want to stress, one of the most important things that I've always said, it's like, look, if you and I, it's like Reagan always said, if you and I can agree on 80%, that's a win.
Right. Well,
you and I are never going to agree on 100% of the things. And if we do, great. I mean, that's unusual. But there are 20% of the things that we're commonly going to disagree on, but it's the way in which we disagree. Do we disagree in a cordial manner to say, you know what, Raul, you and I are going to disagree on this issue, but you're a great guy. Let's go have lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember a situation this session where we were having some conversations with a group of folks. A friend of mine had a bill, and it was a bill to support AT&T, and AT&T deals with a lot of copper theft. And one of the things is that people will actually pull copper out of buildings, and they'll take those copper bundles and go to metal yards, scrap yards, and sell the copper. And the scrap yards don't know where this copper came from. It's just it's more phone wire, right? So they buy it, and there you go. Well, next thing you know, they didn't know that it was AT&T's copper, So they had this bill anyway. So a group of people came by my office. I was opposing their bill, or I wanted to change their bill a little bit, and we were going back and forth, and we weren't really making a whole lot of progress. But at the end of the deal, I said, "Look, this is the way I see this bill. It's AT&T's problem. They're trying to fix their problem on the backs of the metal recyclers in the state of Texas, and I understand that." And everybody agreed. I said, so why don't we get AT&T to pay for all their training, all the software updates that they have to do for their businesses and things of that sort? Well, the person I was talking to didn't necessarily like that. He goes, I don't know, it's getting time close to lunch. Why don't we go have lunch?
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, and we still have a great relationship today, but we'll disagree, and that's fine.
Yeah. The whole time you were saying that, I was hearing, and get paid in $2 bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was hearing. What are some of the biggest challenges you're seeing right now around, Pearland and around the district?
Yeah. So we have several different, you want to start talking, there's a lot of challenges we have, county-wide challenges. We have areas of the county now, I think it was since 2023 session, the 88th legislature allowed businesses and property owners to de-annex themselves from ETJs, move themselves out of ETJs. That's causing huge problems. We have development, moving into Brazoria County in droves. I think, we either have, 40 to 50,000 homes either in planning and or in actual construction phase in Brazoria County right now. What that means is that that's all in the county. And when you're not within the city, a lot of our cities have development codes and stuff like that, where they have certain rules and guidelines that you have to follow when you build in the cities. But when you're in the county, there are none, and our counties don't really have the purview to create laws. So people move to the county because they want to be free of being in the city. They don't want the traffic. They don't want all the things that go along with living in a city. So they want to be independent. Well, a lot of our developments they're like city developments, but they're putting them in the county. And the sheriff's department's the one that has to actually be the sole law enforcement officer in the county, which is huge. It's a huge burden on our sheriff's department. We have ESDs that are not new, but we have the largest ESD in the state of Texas, ESD3 in Brazoria County. And they're growing like gangbusters. It's a taxing entity. So again, we need to support these things. We have property taxes that we need to control, and it's not really the tax rates per se, but it's the appraised values that I think people need to, understand how to manage. From the appraisal district standpoint, we need to understand better how that's getting done. What's the rationale for some of the values that are coming out of the appraisal district and so on. And a key point on that is that those appraisal districts are not county. They're not run by the county. They're actually run by the comptroller's office. Mm-hmm. So that's a key distinction that I think a lot of people get confused with when they think that, Matt Sebesta in Brazoria County is actually running the appraisal district, and they're not. So they fall under the jurisdiction of the comptroller's office. We have insurance issues, whether it's property and casualty issues or health insurance issues, big issues. We still have, just because we got rid of the border used to be number one, property tax is now the number one issue across our district, and insurance costs are very close to right now.
I believe that. Yeah. What with your opinion, what's an issue that doesn't make headlines, but's really affecting everyday Texans?
I would say actually really the health insurance piece. Mm-hmm. And we all hear about the health insurance issues on TV and so on and so forth, but I'm not going to walk up to you in town and say, man, our health insurance, we need to do something about the cost of our health insurance and this, that, and the other. But if you just recently had your homeowner's renewal, you would say, oh man, we need to do something about our homeowner's renewal. A lot of people that have health insurance under their company. There are small business owners that have individual plans and small plans, and we sell those in our office. So I get to talk to these people all the time. And over the years, what's happened is we've stacked regulation on top of regulation on top of regulation on these health insurance companies. That's causing the cost of these plans to go up. Don't add to that the Affordable Care Act in 2010. At the time, everybody, back in the day, thought it was a great idea, and it was a great start. I guess it was a line in the sand that somebody had to draw, and it got drawn. But with the unlimited claims fund and things of that sort, it became extraordinarily important for insurance companies to start accumulating a lot of money to manage claims. So it's a very complicated issue. People don't necessarily understand how bad it really is. I know it's expensive, but most employees only pay 50% or less of what the total cost is. So that's a big issue to me, along with the property and casualty issues we have and property taxes. So those are my three big issues that I'm going to work on.
You know what? This is one thing that I always want to ask you, especially, being in the office and being in spotlight. Politics can get messy. How do you stay focused in serving the people instead of just, party lines? How do you do that?
Got to stay grounded.
And how do you stay off of social media? And how do you not read the comments? How do you just say, like, we're different?
Yeah.
Because I respect you, man.
Look, sometimes you have to make some hard decisions in politics, and I'll just take this one decision head on that everybody always falls back on. It was the whole voucher vote, right? It was a situation where, all throughout the campaign, I always said that, I'm going to always support my public schools 100%. I come from public schools. I helped to bring Turner Career and Technology High School to Pearland. I did all those things, right? And I still support our public schools. The one most underserved demographic in all of our public schools are kids with disabilities. So when we got to the point where we're going to have this vote on vouchers and stuff like that, we went into a caucus meeting. The governor was there. The president called into the caucus meeting and so on and so forth. I was still a no at that point. But then once I got to the floor, I start to realize that they have 81 votes already. So I lost, and I'm fine with that. But what happened was when leadership comes to you and says, hey, if you had your choice, what is it that you can get into this bill that would make you vote for this bill? And I gave them a list, on a card. And I said, I want 80% of all the money to go to kids with disabilities or economically disadvantaged permanently, not just for 1 year. I want annual audits to private schools. I want those to happen annually. I want testing, the tests that these students take that are getting the ESA funding. I want those test scores to go to TEA so that they can be reported to TEA and reported to the public because it's public money. And then lastly, I wanted to lock it in at $1 billion on the actual limit of money that we could spend. The way the bill was originally written was the 80% was going to happen, but just for the first year. And then the $1 billion was going to happen, but just for the first year. They were going to roll the waiting list into the cost associated with that bill. So there's a lot of dynamics going on. And when I said I want to lock it in at $1 billion, I really thought that was a deal breaker. When I said that I wanted to make 80% of the kids with disabilities and economic disadvantage have all the money, 80% of them, I thought that was going to be a deal breaker. And then only to realize that as you start looking at the cost of rolling in the waiting list, and it being $1 billion, by 2030, that cost would have risen to over $4.5 to $5 billion. This is on the taxpayers of Texas, okay? And that we would have been obligated to pay that money. So what I felt like I did was I protected kids with disabilities and those that are economically disadvantaged by giving them 80% of the money in perpetuity. And in order for us to increase the amount of money that the state of Texas has to pay, I required them to come back to the legislature and ask for more money. So the waiting list no longer rolls in automatically. And then the other things are kind of dichotomies that help control the cost, control the way that the vouchers are distributed or whatever, and the reporting associated with that. So when all was said and done, I was a no. I lost. So if I lost the battle, what am I going to do? I'm going to try and get the best deal I can possibly get. And if you're going to get 5 amendments on a bill, you have to vote for the bill. That's just the way it works in Austin. So if I go and it doesn't matter what it is. We had a couple bills that we worked on with the city for small lot sizes. They came in and we had conversations with bill authors. The bill author, implemented everything that we asked. So I'm obligated to vote for that bill, even though I still don't think it's a great bill. It's not as bad as it was.
That makes sense, 100%.
Yeah.
And to me, I understand what you're saying as well. With veterans and first responders are a big part of this community. What's your take on how we can better support them after service?
After service?
Yes, sir.
So this session, what we did, we had a bill that got passed this session that helped the surviving spouses of veterans that were disabled who ultimately paid the ultimate price and passed. Those spouses are now going to continue to have coverage on tax exemptions and things of that sort. So that's something new. There's not any sort of undercurrent, I would say, in Austin that is trying to oppose our veterans and our service members whatsoever. I tried working on a bill to get the Operation Lone Star soldiers back pay for their service time going towards their retirement. Because if you get deployed on a state level, it turns out that you don't get time. You don't get service time for that towards your retirement. It's only if you're federally deployed do you get that money. I got to a point where I think the legislature was a little bit confused on really what was going on. Even though they knew how to do it, we had to bridge a gap between the state and the federal government because the federal government tracks that, the state doesn't, and that's where things kind of fell through the cracks. Yeah. We needed to literally update our state software in order to be able to track it. And then how do we track it and how do we calculate all the back pay? And I mean, it would have been a yeoman's feat to be able to do it. I'm not saying that I still don't want to get that done.
Right.
Right now what I've done is I've gotten to a point where I think I can get a bill to the floor that says that if you're on state deployment, you can have like a 401k created under the state plan to contribute to that. I'm still working out the details, but
I'm curious. Who's someone that's influenced the way you lead and serve?
Oh man, I just don't really know. Growing up, my parents were always, they're the ones that probably influenced me the most. It was, always think about others before yourself. Anytime that I do anything, how is this going to affect others? Even in my business, if I'm a client of mine, how do I want to be treated, when it comes to these situations? And so I always use that line of thought when dealing with whether my clients or my constituents or anybody, So that's kind of what's influenced me the most is just my Christian grounding. I'm grounded in Christ all day long, every day. And if I'm not, you can get really lost in a lot of these things, right? You have people that want to, take you places and take you to dinners and do all these things all the time, and you can get lost in what the real goal is. The real goal is to better affect my district. How am I going to address the needs of my district? And when people say this all the time, when people go to Austin, they just get lost in all this stuff. It's easy to do. Mm-hmm. You just have to be focused on what it is. I call it headstrong. You have to be, headstrong in knowing why you're there and knowing the fact that you're there temporarily, because I have to come back and face everyone.
Yeah.
I have to face my district. I have to sit across this table and look at you.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. Family.
Yeah.
In your faith. When you hear the phrase service before self, what does that mean to you personally, especially with you being a veteran?
Yeah. I mean, you always have to have your eye on the greater good. You always have to have your eye on the greater good. It's not about me. And let's just kind of take a step back. We're not here because we're put here. God put me here. And the reason I'm here is to be able to leave my impression upon my community, my state, my world, or whatever it is. And I'm going to be there. I want to leave this community better off tomorrow than it is today. And I hope that I can lead in that way, so that people can look at the way that I've led in the past to say, you know what, he's always done the right thing. And I feel like I've always done the right thing. And I know that there are those on social media that say otherwise. I'm sure you probably, I can name them all if you wanted to, but there are quite a few folks out there that are probably disappointed in some votes or something like that. One in particular, but I get it. But what I would encourage all those individuals to do is call me. Everybody has my cell phone number. My cell phone number is plastered all over the place. I have a district office here in Pearland. I have one in Austin. I'm available. I'm probably one of the most available representatives in the House. So I'm in the community all the time, and I'm easily accessible. So service before self, I always give to my community before I even think of myself. So that is always the way it is for me.
I love that about you, and I truly believe that. And I go to bat for you because I believe in you, and that's the truth. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I really do. I really do.
What's one mission or goal that you're focused on for the next couple of years?
We're just trying to get. I'm really trying to. I'm trying to get some dynamic funding for various things. You may have heard that we have all these propositions on the ballot right now. Proposition 4 is a water fund. It's $1 billion water fund. It's $1 billion a year that the state of Texas is going to guarantee for the next 20 years to address water issues. If there's any one thing that I want to accomplish, I want people, whether it be the legislature or municipalities or whatnot, to understand the importance of infrastructure maintenance. If we can encourage every municipality, every county in the state of Texas to take that challenge on, we would be a lot better off today. We're going to be a lot better off, let's say, in 2 years than we are today, because we're losing so much water. It's a precious resource that we have. It's probably it's the most valuable resource, because we need it as humans to live. We need it in industry to drive business and support employment and so on. We need it all over. It's just the one basic fundamental piece of thing we need. If we can drive that home and try to make sure that our cities and municipalities are focused on updating their infrastructure over the next couple of years, I think we're going to see a drastic change in the way that our water levels look and utilization for water. So we can protect that over the next, if we focus on it the next couple of years, we can protect the water for a generation.
When it's all said and done, what kind of legacy does Jeff Berry want to leave behind?
No legacy here. I'm just going to go, let someone else take up the charge. And hopefully whoever does that is in it for the right reasons. I still got a long way to go, I hope. And as long as the citizens of, District 29 want to continue to elect me to do the job for them, I'm happy to do it. But there will come a day, and it generally does, except for a handful of folks in the legislature, where those come to an end. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's just things change, and maybe they just weren't willing to change with the way their community's changed. I always feel like I have a pulse on our community. I'm in it for our community. I'm in the community so I can continue to have a pulse on our community. And I hope that whenever it's all said and done, people know that I meant that, and I was in it for them, not just for me.
I think the true residents and the people that truly know you see that and see the hard work that you're doing.
Well, thank you.
For anyone that's listening right now and who wants to make a difference in the community, what advice would you give them?
I would say pick an organization and get involved. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be every week. It could be monthly or whatever. Whether it's your church you want to get involved in, whether it's a nonprofit, do something to give back to our community. And that's what I've always done. When my wife and I realized we weren't going to have a family per se, we dedicated all of our time and energy into education. That was a decision we both made. But it doesn't have to be education. It could be anything. It could be help the homeless, make our community better, do something to address and affect our community. Whatever that is, whatever you're passionate about. I know this lady who's passionate about dogs, so she goes to the SPCA every single day. This lady doesn't have to work, but she likes to go to the SPCA every single day and walk dogs. That's a value to that organization, right? And that's giving back in a big way to them.
Yeah.
So just give back, and it doesn't have to be a big way.
That's amazing. Final thoughts. What would you like to say to the people if they want to reach out to you? If they just like to say something to you?
Anything. I mean, you can shoot me an email. My email's jeff@votejeffberry.com or jeff.berry@berryinsuranceGroup.com, or I have a house email. Call me on my cell phone, 281-352-3525 is my cell phone number. Feel free to use it. Tell you a funny story about that. I sent out a bunch of Christmas cards last year after the election and stuff. I think I sent out about 30,000 of them, maybe more. People I had my cell phone number on the card, and I said, hey, if you want to contact me, please feel free, whatever. People were calling the number just to see if someone would answer the phone.
For real?
But I absolutely, it's a funny thing. Then they would just hang up. They're like, is this Jeff Berry? Yes, it is. Oh, and they laugh and they hang up. So just so you know that is a real number. And,
that's hilarious.
I'm always here for anybody that needs my assistance at all. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Jeff, again, I want to say thank you for giving me your time today, and I really appreciate you coming in and just spending some time with me and letting me just
my pleasure. It's been too long.
It really has. And I tell you, man, just watching you is amazing, and continue the work. And
congratulations on the new baby too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. She's getting big. She's 10 months walking around everywhere.
Can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
All right, Jeff. Thank you. Thank you again. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Anytime.